Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Geeks From The Multiverse. I am one of your hosts, Matt. We have a great episode. Can you believe it's already almost the end of December, and we have a holiday coming in the next couple days? Yes, that's Christmas. And we're going to be talking about a special Christmas episode. Guess what? Santa and some of the North Pole leaders have been kidnapped, and we're going to be creating a team of geeky characters that are going to go out and save them. So stay tuned because you're not going to want to miss this episode. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Geeks From The Multiverse. I'm one of your hosts, Matt, and with me always is John.
Well, what's up, y'all? Anyways, actually, hold on. Let's get this straight, Matt. We know it's not our actual names. Get it right. What is it? Come on. You haven't said it in a while.
Mr. Grumpy Beard.
Thank you very much. And we have Captain Lustache, as always. Yes. So, actually, go ahead, Matt, because I know you're going to say some stuff. So go ahead.
Well, like we always say, if you are listening to us on Spotify or YouTube, we always want you to give us that fist bump, which is follow, interact, subscribe, and tell your friends, because it is important that you give us that follow and hit the bell button and subscribe to our channels. Always comment and let us know how we're doing. Give us, feedback and show ideas. We love to hear from you. It's really important because it tells us how we're doing and gives us ideas. We love to hear from you.
Yeah, and a couple things. It's funny, man. I forgot to tell you. One of the guys I was talking to you about a while back wanting to get on the show, I talked with him recently, and I was like, he's like, when are we going to do that? And I'm like, let me talk with Matt. It'd be great if we can get you on. I said, but yeah. He's like, well, when we're going to do it? I'm like, well, clearly it's not going to be anytime soon. I said, so we're going to have to think of a time frame, maybe more like spring, ish. Probably when we're not having to worry about snow and other things like that. But, good old New England, that's what it is. Anyways, so I know that you probably haven't heard from us in a while, or at least a little bit. Unfortunately, I've had to deal with some more family/personal, like basically a death in the family. All right. So somebody I knew from way back when my dad was in the military, long time ago, and he recently passed away. There's a lot of things I didn't know about him. Unfortunately, again, I haven't seen this guy in at least 20 years, give or take, or not 20. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Almost 20. I would say at least 18. I talked to him, of course, over the years, but it's just been a long time. But anyways, his name was Mike Rowe. He was a good guy. I know he was best friends with my dad, and it was kind of a tough time. And this past couple of weeks, I know. We had an episode recently, and then, of course, I said, hey, Matt, sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. So I know we've been kind of, again, unfortunately, holidays, it's kind of what it is. But anyways, I wanted to make a quick shout out to, Mike Rowe and his family. They were very nice individuals. Some of them I met for the first time, and some of them I haven't seen since I was a little kid. What I mean by a little kid, just to let y'all know, is like 11 or 12 years old. So again, we're talking 18 years ago-ish. Okay, so we're talking almost 2 decades ago. So, I wanted to give a shout out to them because, they made me feel like one of their own. I mean, hell, they even said that I could be a part of their family. And I was like, cool. I was like, what, you want me to change my last name to Lally Grow or Grow Lally? And I'm like, that sounds kind of weird, but whatever. But I want to, I'm hoping that this episode and maybe some other things down the road, we can do a little dedication. But, I just wanted to, give a moment of silence here for a second just because, this is to you, Mike. You've been a good guy for my dad, and, you've been a great friend overall for everybody. So thank you. Anyways, sorry, I just wanted to get that out of the way because, it's just, again, holidays, man, it's tough. It's not easy.
Certainly is. No, it's important.
But anyways, yes, I know. Sorry. I'll say this real quick before we get into the Christmas, teams and whatnot that we got. I will tell you right now, I know we haven't mentioned this in a bit, fantasy football. Okay. Holy crap. I thought, man, I was going to be like, yeah, it's going to be great. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be doing great. I'm going to be in the playoffs. Oh, hell no. I was like, I looked at my score and I looked at what I was at my teams. I was like,
well, technically in one league you were in the playoffs.
okay. Oh, barely. I was in like round 1-ish, whatever. I got beat. And then basically all of a sudden he's like, oh, well, you're still playing for like,
you're still playing for 5th or 6th.
yeah, well, I mean, I get it. It's whatever. It's fine. But no, in our league that we have, I was like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, looking at my screen, I'm like, shit. I said, I was actually doing like, I was like 3rd or 4th in the beginning. And then it was just like gradually dropping. And then basically Jeff started creeping up and I was like, damn. I was like, okay, well, I guess I just took Jeff's place and
well,
he started getting up.
Jeff is in your place in the league that you're, in the other league that you, the position that you're in right now. Yeah.
No, I know, but it was just like, I will just say this, guys. I mean, I don't mind fantasy, but it really is pure luck. I mean, you could draft the right people. You could, make the right moves. You could do whatever.
Speak to yourself, because I ended up first in both.
Okay, listen, Matt.
So
I know, I get it. You listen to the podcast, even though sometimes they doubt it. You doubted yourself, and you screwed up.
I'm still doubting myself. Although in the podcast league, I think I'm doing fair. I mean, I think at least this week, I think I can do fairly well. In the Guideland League, at least. I have a chance, but with Scott, it's going to be kind of a 50-50 shot. Like, it really depends, like, Sunday and Monday, like, really how our teams individually do and how the players do.
No,
because it could go either way. Like, I really don't know.
I just know that, look, you can say whatever you want. A lot of this really is luck. It really is a matter of, like, you like I said, you can find the right people. You can do, hell, you can have the best player in the league. And they can go out for the season. It happens. And that's what I mean. You're like, oh, speak for yourself. I'm like, but it's true. You've even saw it too, where there's been guys that just
I've lost a crap ton of guys.
Right. So my point is, it just happens. And whether you can say whatever, I'm like, but at the end of the day, you might think, oh, this guy's not going to do shit.
I actually just lost one of my top running backs this week, actually.
So there you go. So now you're in the playoffs, and now you're like, well, shit, what do I do? Because there's not many choices.
Well, I wouldn't say he's top, but he's
probably up there.
He's top 15 at least, yeah.
But I get what you mean. But anyways, guys, I mean, like I said, fantasy football, we've been talking about it for a little bit. We just haven't really had a lot of updates. But yes, Matt's in the playoffs with my wife and my dad, and I keep forgetting. I think Carrie Ann, if I'm not mistaken, is it Jeff's sister?
I believe it's Jeff's sister.
Okay. Sorry, Jeff. I mean, I'm sorry. We haven't really like made some connection for me.
I believe Jeff is against his wife. I believe that was the matchup, and then it's your dad and Allie.
Yeah. Yes. So okay, but anyways, I know we've talked a little bit about it, but let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's talk about this, like saving the world. If you were a part of this awesome, amazing team, if Santa was kidnapped.
Let me get into the premise of the story of what is occurring, and why we need the team. So we have Santa and all the leaders of the North Pole. Basically, they've been kidnapped, and a mysterious villain has orchestrated a plot to ruin Christmas forever by capturing Saint Nick and all the North Pole leaders. And you're asking yourself, okay, well, who are these leaders? And so the leaders that I'm speaking of are basically a toy maker, the head reindeer, the elf, the naughty list enforcer, and I think that's it. I think that was the last one. Oh, and there's a Christmas spirit booster. So basically, they're mostly elves, and then the reindeer leader, which is obviously a reindeer.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that's funny. I know a lot of you, if you've listened to us for at least a while now, Matt and I love to debate. We always like to, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
And, I guess a part of the Christmas spirit, I guess we have to finally somehow come to an agreement, sort of, on something that we now have to do.
So we're not going to create separate teams. We're going to try to create one singular team, and there's going to be, these positions that we're going to, try to develop here, we're going to try to narrow them down to one person per position here, based on who has been kidnapped. So basically, all of the, Santa and all of the leaders of the North Pole have been kidnapped by a mysterious villain. And the whole purpose of it was to scatter the magic powers of the sleigh across the multiverse. The elves realize they cannot handle this problem on their own, and they turn to a team of legendary heroes and misfits from across geek culture to rescue them, to retrieve the scattered Christmas magic and save the holiday before it's too late. So we have the positions, which is Santa, which is the leader. We have the head elf, which is the brains. We have the reindeer squad leader, which is the pilot. We have the toy maker, which is the creative genius. We have the naughty list enforcer, which is the muscle. And then we have the Christmas spirit booster, which is the heart of the team. So we will go through these one by one, talk about the position, and then the people that we have in each of these different positions.
So I'll start with the leader. Okay, so of course, big old jolly Saint Nick, right? Good old Santa Claus, or Santa Claus, as some people like to call him. So again, you got the strategist, the motivator who keeps the team focused, working together. This person sees the big picture, makes tough calls, ensures every team member's strengths are utilized, right? And the key traits right here would be charismatic, decisive, and adaptable. Now, why does this matter? It says, well, because without a strong leader, right? The mission could devolve into chaos with so many personalities in one group, which we all know that if you're a part of a group, yes, you have to suck it up and embrace the suck sometimes, and you have to choose a leader that is going to be the most qualified for that job or that goal, the mission, whatever it is, because each mission that you do could be totally different. But in this case, this is a kind of important one. You need to make sure that the right person's going to be the right, person making those tough calls, no matter which way you look at it. Now, this is just me, okay? I know we're going to go through some of these people. I'll mention the names first, and then we'll kind of go into like the back and forth, the pros and cons thing.
Yeah.
So we got Optimus Prime, Captain America, Superman, Gandalf, and James T. Kirk. Now, I'm not going to, we'll go into the other stuff. Me personally, this is where it gets tough, because if there was a co-captain seat, if there was two people kind of like making co-decisions, hands down, I'd tell you the two people. I would tell you Optimus Prime, and I would tell you Captain America. That's just me. And the only reason why I say this is because if they were coexisting together as a leadership, right? Now, I'm not saying all groups need this, but if they did, you got Optimus Prime, who, if you don't know who the hell he is, I don't know what to tell you, but the man is a badass. He's not even human, but he understands more than what most people think. But like his decision making is well up there. He's a very well, captivating leader. The speeches this man gives is amazing.
Oh, yeah. Just his voice alone
is amazing.
He could tell you to go to the bathroom, and it would be the most motivating speech.
He's like, go to the bathroom. And you're like, and then they'll be like, and I'll tell you why. And it's just
and it could be like a 10-minute thing that he's talking to you about, and it could just be like, just going to urinate and be like, I'm going to go urinate in the bathroom. And you'd be like, this is awesome.
It's like, I'm going to take a shit too.
But this is Optimus Prime. I think he makes a great choice, and he has many positive like qualities, which is, being, having integrity and selflessness, vision. He definitely prioritizes protection, and not just somebody who is just about the mission, but he prioritizes like the other Autobots that he's with.
Right. And granted, yes, he knows that at the end of the day, he's protecting his family and he's also trying to save the world at the same time. So, but the other big piece to this, and this is where I'm not saying this is going to happen on, of course, saving the world when it comes to Santa Claus and doing the job of Santa. But unfortunately, it's sacrifice. He knows a lot about sacrifice because the man died, or sorry, the robot, him, he died, at least a couple
he's
times.
Definitely willing to sacrifice himself for
the mission.
Not just the mission, but
for the humanity.
The greater good.
Right. And that's
what's necessary.
Right. And that's where, it's hard to look at that as a leader. I mean, granted, again, he's not even human. Let's get that straight. He's not human, but he has very.
But Steve Rogers / Captain America would do the same thing.
Well, no. And that's what I mean. Yeah. That's why I'm saying Cap and him would be great, like coexisting leaders in a sense. And the reason why is because Cap is like basically I guess the human version of Optimus Prime. I mean, that's kind of basically how the best way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great leader too. He does see the bigger picture. His level of determination, I mean, it's just unwavering.
Well, I mean, and you look at a guy, right? So he was already missed out of place, right? Because I mean, granted, he was frozen in solid ice for 80 something years at the time, so he was already in ice. He's already he didn't know about the modern age, but then, he got real quick and he, studied up on everything else. But, you look at a guy like him who, he sacrificed himself to literally save the world at the time when he was trying to defeat the Red Skull and stuff, and he didn't know if he was going to make it. I mean, granted, he realized so many years later he did, but it's interesting because I remember even in the first Avenger, right? The very first movie of Cap, literally the first thing he does at basic training or what he was doing, he literally jumps on that, the fake dummy grenade. Right. Literally says, "Get away, go!"
And he's literally the smallest dude. That everybody ran out of the way and ducked behind.
And he was like, "I'll jump on it right now. Yeah. Let's go."
I mean, so we both agree. Optimus Prime and Captain America. The one that I know, we all kind of say Superman's overpowered. He's arguably one of the most powered DC superheroes. I mean, of all kind of heroes, he's one of the most powered, which is Superman. I don't think when you're not that he doesn't have qualities that would be a leader. He definitely is he's seen as a symbol of hope. He empowers others. He has strong values like truth, justice, and definitely compassion. But I don't think he makes a great choice because when you look at the character, he's often disconnected from the human experience.
So here's the thing about him that I do agree with as well is one, he's Kryptonian. I'm not saying that they don't, of course, Kryptonians actually look very human-like, but when they come into the orange sun, right, they get these powers. On Krypton, he doesn't really have any powers. That's just what it is. But the thing about him is, you're right. When you start to look at the Injustice, series of how he basically kills Joker, then it turns into him being this evil version of himself and kind of goes down this deep, dark path because the Joker at the time kills Lois Lane, which is the love of his life, and so on and so forth. So granted, he was raised by humans, right? As Martha and, I'm trying to remember his name. It was somebody else. Oh, John. That's right. It was Martha and John. They were living on a farm, whatever. So he learned, how to blend in and do whatever. But the thing was about him is that, that's fine. I mean, that shows that, yes, he has the compassion as a human and whatnot. But you're right. When you start to look
he has the capability of it.
Right. And the problem is the more he realizes about, himself in certain instances, he gets too emotionally attached because, especially like I said, if Lois Lane was to die, what does he do? He kills Joker, and then he basically turns into this evil version of himself. Right. So, I'm not saying that, Optimus Prime or Cap, have that emotional connection. Because, if you look at Cap being with Peggy Carter and so forth, I mean, granted, he did move on pretty quick, a couple of times. But, Optimus Prime never really had a love interest, per se, from what I know. I mean, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But I just don't see, you know what I'm saying? Like, he has more love for the family.
I mean, mainly, I think mainly seeing it as like an 80s cartoon. I don't really know if we've seen Transformers really get it on. Like,
Let's get it. Oh.
I don't really know how that works.
No, neither do I. But I mean,
not that it wouldn't. That's a complicated conversation
situation
for another day. But no, I think like it's really like the human experience. Like as humans, like we would see Superman differently because I mean, let's face it. Like he has powers that we don't. He's different. He's Kryptonian. He's an alien. But he like you look at the character of Superman too. Like he is doing. Often you see him like he's doing a lot, like saving people, going all over the world, doing things, being in Justice League, fighting all these like random ass like criminals that are going after him, trying to beat Lex Luthor, like all these random things that he's doing, whether, we're trying to recruit him to, save Santa Claus and all this stuff, like how disconnected or how is he going to be connected to all of this, to the human experience?
Well, and that's why I think where it comes down to, looking at him, being basically an alien. And again, I mean, granted, if he wasn't raised here, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like there would be a huge disconnect. And
I think it goes beyond like, is he capable? Yes. Does he have the qualities? Yes.
Yes, you're right. I'm just saying that, yes, if he didn't have certain experiences, if he didn't have, like you said, that the human connection or the experience prior to, then I would have not chosen him because he doesn't understand that piece of it, And, when you're looking at, I mean, even shit.
And I'm not a Superman hater.
No, I'm not either. I'm just saying that you're right. I think for him, because, yes, he's a very strong individual, probably one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. The issue is if he gets too emotional, it's done. Like you can't get him back. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I'm saying I think he's just too emotionally driven sometimes. And I think where the other two, like we've mentioned, I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but I don't think when it comes to at least this, they would, the emotion would kind of be like, okay, we're going to put that aside. We're going to focus on what we're doing.
Yeah,
right
he's not a first choice. So what about, I selected Gandalf and James T. Kirk as runners up.
See, Gandalf,
is a hard sell for me. Like I just don't know. Like I think he's a kind of a random. I think for me, that's why I did him as a runner up.
He's more of like I don't even know how to put it. I think he's too harsh. Like I
would find him kind of flaky. I don't know. I know he's kind of like he's a wizard, Harry, but like, like
oh, really? You're going to mention that? Okay.
But like, I think, like from what I've seen I've watched Lord of the Rings, but like, I would find him like, just kind of like, not that he wouldn't stick around, but like, I would find him like, he would probably help and then be like,
peace.
You cannot pass. And then he would like disappear and we'd be like, oh, what the fuck? What do we do now?
Where the fuck did he go? What? Yeah, right. What am I going to do?
And then we'd be like without a leader.
Well, and
then we would basically turn to like whoever the head elf and be like, well, what the fuck do we do now? Like, I don't know. Is he coming back? I don't know if he's coming back. Do you think he's coming back? I don't know if he's coming back. Well, what the fuck? And he may not come back until like we're almost like at the end of the mission. Then he'd be like, hey guys, what's up?
Where you been? I was actually at the ramen shop down the street. You're like, wait, what? No, I agree. I think with Gandalf, you're right. It's the flakiness.
Is he capable? Yes.
He is capable, but I think he's just harsh. He's flaky. I don't think for this mission is the right fit.
And I don't think I could take the fucking riddles either. Like
exactly. I'm like, we don't need riddles, man. We need somebody direct and we need to get the shit on the road.
Tell me what I want to know. I don't want to know the fucking riddles. Like don't speak to me in those. Now, I don't want to have to decipher what you're telling me.
Right. I will say this, though. Now, if you're talking James Kirk, though, this is what I need to know. Is it Shatner's version or is it?
Oh, no, it has to be Shatner.
Oh, it has.
If we're going to.
Okay.
So it's what's his name? No.
Oh, the other guy? Yeah. Okay. So you want the OG. Okay. So
the OG
James Kirk.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you want today, Starlog 67. This is what we're going to do today. So you want that like, and you want that real quick, like little quick jabber here and there. So, I mean,
one, he's not a great fighter.
no, he's a terrible fighter.
And does he make great decisions? Yes, he does. He's a great decision maker. He is very decisive,
But he
does empower others. Is he a fucking womanizer? Yes, he is.
Well, okay. We're talking about 60s.
Will he literally fuck everything in sight?
Yes, he probably will.
He probably will.
So basically, Mrs. Claus, you better walk the hell.
You better.
He will find a way.
You better lock that old lady up because he's going to fuck her.
No, I mean, so the thing about him is, of course, he's human.
That's why he's a runner-up.
I think for him, yes, I think he does make good decisions. I think there's also times where, again, he's a little bit also emotionally driven from time to time, and I think that's where he also that would be a downfall because it almost seems like, especially his love interest, he gets way too involved, and it's like, and then he realizes he's screwed up.
And he could very well get them out of problems and everything else. But I think he would be better as like maybe in a different position, maybe not as like the leader, but maybe as like the head elf or in a different position. But I don't know, as the leader, I think he my gut would put it with Optimus Prime. That would be me.
I know.
Only because he has the capability of literally being a Mack truck.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm also going to.
He has more functionality than just being a person.
True, but I get what you're saying. But I mean, at the same time, yes, I know, like you just said about the sleigh being kind of scattered and whatnot. I mean, with Cap, technically, if we're going to say S.H.I.E.L.D. is a thing, okay, because we all know that kind of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of disappeared at some point. If he had the capability of S.H.I.E.L.D., especially with like the carrier and whatnot, like having that kind of like on his side, they could definitely,
Well, I don't think we're talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. I think we're just talking about Captain America himself.
I understand. Yeah. I'm just saying about the connections, though. That's all I'm saying. Like, just like with him being, Optimus Prime, being able to transform into a truck. I get that. He's going to need a way to go around and clearly move around about, because if he's not...
Well, we're gonna get there.
Well, no, you said that the pieces were scattered.
We're going to get there.
Okay, fine. I'm choosing Cap. That's just me. And I just say only because if we're talking about...
We haven't gotten to the pilot yet, and that's what we're going to get to.
Okay, fine. I'm choosing Cap. You can choose Optimus. That's fine. I just said we should
we have to agree on somebody.
I said we should co-captain. That's just me. I think...
Well, we can't. We have to choose one.
I think we should just do a co-captain on this one and just call it a day. Because if you want this episode to turn into about an hour and a half, that's up to you.
I will settle.
I say co-cap on this one, at least with the leader.
Well, at this rate, we're going to co-captain all of them.
No, we're not going to co-captain all of them. I'm saying this one. I think this one should definitely.
I will just agree, Captain America, and let's.
Here we go. Okay, let's just agree to co-cap.
I will agree to disagree, Captain America. Fine, let's move on.
Oh Jesus! All right, fine.
All right. Head elf. This is the brains and the problem solver, tactician. Often will be one step ahead of the villain. This person will often handle puzzles, create solutions for unexpected challenges, crack codes or traps they encounter. The key traits are analytical, resourceful, and quick thinking. Why does this matter? Whether they're disarming a security system or devising a way out of a sticky situation, their intellect is critical to the team's success. So I will read the people. This one actually has a lot of freaking awesome people in it. So this one's going to be super, super tough. So there's five, I think there's like 5 people in all of them. But the 5 people that are in this one is Tony Stark, Spock, Reed Richards, and the 2 runner-ups that we have in this one are Bruce Banner and Sherlock Holmes. So Tony Stark, I will kind of kick this one off. we all know who Tony Stark is. And if you don't, you have to get out of the rock that you're living under. Because seriously, Tony Stark, Iron Man, we know that he has a genius level intellect. He is beyond adaptable. When you can build a freaking Iron Man suit in the middle of a freaking cave, I think that speaks to your level of ingenuity and adaptability.
I mean, well, if you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right, with Tony Stark wise, I mean, the man has, like you just said, coming out of a cave, literally creating the first Iron Man suit. And then on top of that,
he built an arc reactor.
No, I know.
Out of a missile in a cave.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So like he built, I mean, granted, it was his missiles that he did. But what I was saying is like, you saw the development of him later on and you saw the suits and everything else. But the fact that, by the end of literally, let's say, Infinity War Endgame, you start to see him with this like nano technology.
Like a nanotech suit,
and it's like literally it's just like click and it's just like his whole body, it's like cells just like transforming his suit and basically putting it on him. It's absolutely mind-bending because it's like, you're looking at that versus the actual suit that he had in the beginning, which was this giant metal clunk of thing. Right. And then you're seeing him just
built in a cave, yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy where, he's a very smart man. I mean, granted, hell, he made Ultron. He made him. Like, I mean, granted, he used, Jarvis for help, but like, he basically had the idea for him.
And you think right now, like you look at AI technology and where it's at right now, like he had an AI, system that pretty much could do everything that he wanted.
Right. And make it done and literally like probably 1,000 times faster than anything you see. Yeah.
And not just like, an AI system like that. You could go to Chat GPT and, ask it to write your fucking paper. Like this thing, like literally could do like it could do anything that he wanted it to do. Like,
well, it was just like making shit out of thin air. Like literally it was just like, it's like having a 3D printer, but like on a bigger scale. And now you're like, you can create whatever you want from literally anything. And it's like, that's where, again, his ingenuity came into play. And like, he's very powerful in the sense of like, he has money, he has all the resources, he has, again, certain things that make him the way he is. But I'm only going to go to this guy first before we go to the next guy. I'm going to go to Reed Richards. Okay. Because granted, Reed Richards does not have the resources like Tony does, but as we know that Reed Richards is probably not only the smartest individual.
He's actually smarter than Stark.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the sense of, because he can go even further than Stark in a sense and basically, realize that, he can take everything or take a problem and literally just, boom, we'll just solve it. Just
I think the thing is like, when it comes to Stark, I think you look at Stark as like a genius when it comes to like technology and weapons.
Right.
And Reed is a genius when it comes to basically everything.
Right. And he'll start like, it's like almost like he just knows. It's like, okay, hey, you know something about nuclear like thermodynamics? Oh, yeah, I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to learn it in about like 10 minutes and I can be a master at it. And you're like, wait, what? No.
And then it'll be like, 4 days later and it'll be like, hey, have you eaten anything? Oh, no, I haven't,
No, but I'm good now. I mean, I already know what I'm talking about now. I already know. And you're like,
well, you probably need to eat something if you haven't eaten in 4 days. Well, it's actually been like 6. Well, you're going to die.
You're going to die, bro. No, it's weird about Reed. It's like he just, again, he is, now the problem is, he can take sometimes unnecessary, risk and stuff like that. But it's like, for his sake, I know for him, it almost drives him mad if he doesn't solve the problem. And I understand that's also Stark's problem too, because they both share that trait of like,
they both take unnecessary risks where they will both experiment with things that are not tested.
And they realize that they shouldn't have done it. Like, for example, Ultron.
Yes.
But like, you look at both of them. I mean, granted, yes, one has technically the resources and the power versus another guy who's just a brilliant scientist in a sense of like knowing like how to fix these problems on a, maybe not on a bigger scale, but, or not on like the resources scale as like Tony. But, it's a toss up between those two for me when it comes to like, knowing who's really the right pick for the job. But I mean, if we're talking about any situation, I'm not saying Tony wouldn't do good things because he's definitely done a lot to like get out of certain situations. But like Reed, you might look at him as a different, aspect here too.
I think, when you're looking at being smart with pretty much everything, it's definitely Reed Richards. But I think Tony using, Jarvis or, whether it's Jarvis or whether it's a different AI that he's using, I think the AI is what gives him that edge.
Yeah,
and that's where it's different. So the other option that we had was Spock. He's Star Trek, and this is kind of a different kind of turn, because even though he may not be that genius level intellect, he is still very, very smart. And the difference between him is because he's a Vulcan, he's very logical and analytical, and even though, he's half human, half Vulcan,
right?
He's also able to emotionally detach himself from pretty much all situations. So this is like he's able to completely remain calm, even like in the most chaotic and stressful of situations. So whether they're like in the midst of a battle, he's not going to be the one that's freaking out. He's going to be the one that's calm.
Right, because it's funny, like even in like the old or the OG, kind of like Star Trek. I mean, he's of course doing his stuff, but like he doesn't have a face. He doesn't like show fear. He doesn't show happiness. Doesn't really show anything. It's just more like, Captain, don't worry, I got this. And he just does it. He just like automatically just goes into it.
No, and it's very logical and very analytical, and he's not going to like, skim over like details. He's going to look at every minute detail because that's how logical and analytical people think, and
it's very like he's very right, attention to detail oriented, which is great depending on what you're doing in that sense. But, now electronics,
he probably will use tools to do certain things, but, is he going to be able to hack into a state-of-the-art, system, not as well as Tony Stark would.
Yeah, because him or Reed, because they could definitely do it, that's for sure. But, Spock...
Reed would do it. He would just, invent...
He would probably, invent something.
He would have to create something or create some chemical compound and be like, hey, I just created this compound. Here you go. And you'd be like, what is this? I don't know. I just created it.
Just try it.
just try it out, Where Spock would be like, well, let me get my tricorder and, I have to get all these, little
doohickeys and you're like, shit, well, we don't have time for this. Let's go.
So I think, Spock would be a great choice, but I think he would be third in that list.
I also was going to say, too, the only downside to him as well is that, yes, I understand with him, like with the emotional piece. I mean, yes, it is necessary, sure, depending on the situation. But it's almost like... It can also be a downfall because if you're not, having some sort of drive, you know what I'm saying? Or like something like that. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but it's like, having no emotion, again, sometimes.
Well, it's not that he doesn't have any emotion.
No, it's just, he just puts it away.
He can show some emotion, but it's not that the emotions drive him. Like Tony Stark might, with his ego, and that's one of Tony Stark's downfalls is the ego.
Well, I was also going to say he's more smart ass than
one of Reed Richards' downfalls is that he might take forever in figuring out a problem, and you'd be like, "Hey, is this thing fucking done or what?" Well, it's going to take another 4 hours, dude. You've been on this for 3 days. Like, we need it now. And this is like the unnecessary risk like that you might come across with Reed Richards. Like, we need this now. Like.
Yeah, and it's tough because, this is why I'm saying if we're talking about saving the world, being part
of Tony Stark could be like, hey, did you get this done? Like we need it for this mission that we're going on in 20 minutes. Or Tony Stark might be like walking around eating a burrito and be like, yeah, I haven't worked on it yet, but I'm going to work on it in about 15 minutes. Bro, we're leaving in 20. Yeah, don't worry about it. Like
we got it. We'll figure it out.
I'll get it done. Don't worry about it. And you're like,
he's a master procrastinator. That's really what he is. That's exactly what he is. He's like that.
Where Spock will, like you're going to talk to him and he'll be like, hey, we're leaving in 20 minutes. Have you gotten that done? He's like, well, I'll have it done in
19
exactly like, the 2,492 seconds, and like he would tell you every detail, and like
he's like, I'll tell you when I'm going to do this at this time at this moment, and then and you're like, I don't need a freaking play-by-play. I just need to know when it's done.
He'll tell you like the percentage, and like he'll tell you the details and the analytical processes, and like that's kind of the I think the strengths and weaknesses. But I think for me, like the one that's the completely out is Sherlock Holmes. If you look at Sherlock Holmes and the time that he was actually alive, there's no technology. There barely was any electricity, really.
Well, I was going to say like the detective skills, sure. Like if I needed a good old fashioned detective, absolutely, that's what I'd choose.
Sure, for like puzzles and if I needed somebody to really find out, like who is the one who stole, who kidnapped these guys, like.
Right.
Can you locate these guys? Sure.
And then, and give me a full-on play-by-play. But I don't.
If I'm asking somebody to like hack in a system or decrypt, like
I'm not asking him.
No, he's going to be like, what is decrypting? Like, what are you asking me to
like? What are we talking about here? Because
again, I think we're looking for somebody that can completely do all of it, like solve the puzzles, hack in the system and do a complete.
Right. I was just going to say, like, Bruce Banner, yes, he's a very smart individual. He's, very good with, like, gamma radiation, things like that.
Until he gets pissed.
Right. And again, that's all emotional, and that's the problem. And he would be a liability.
And that's why he's a runner-up, because as soon as he hulks out, it's like, okay,
we can't work on him. All right, we can't rely on him.
Our brains is gone.
Well, and that's right. So, like, to me, now this is where I'm just going to say it. I know we're gonna have to agree because I'm in between Tony Stark and Reed Richards.
I'm leaning Tony. I know you're leaning Reed.
No, I was thinking Tony only because I'm also thinking about resources. I'm thinking about again having that AI, having that extra advantage where I'm not having to think about it. Like he could be doing one thing. And Jarvis could be doing another completely thing.
That's where I was leaning. Yeah.
No, see, I know where you thought I was going to say, oh, let's co-captain again.
No, I was going to do that. I was going to say, I thought you were leaning Reed only because of how much smarter he was than Stark, but I was leaning Tony because of the AI. And
I'm also thinking technology. I'm thinking, like, if we need it to be done in a reasonable manner, I'm like, I need to go Tony.
He still has the ability to, like, invent and create things and do, like, that sort of thing.
If I needed a backup or if I needed somebody that was,
Jarvis is more than capable of solving puzzles and figuring shit out. Like if how many times in those Iron Man movies did Jarvis like figure shit out? Like,
right, he was doing it all on his own.
Jarvis is the one who basically like created the fucking element. Like, It wasn't. I mean, Tony like kind of like put the pieces together, but Jarvis is the one that really was the one that was like.
Well, he was right. He was putting the pieces together for him. He just
they worked. They worked kind of like symbiotically. Yeah. So
so yes, I would say Tony Stark.
Tony Stark obviously is the best one for that. So far we have Captain America. it's a Marvel team so far.
Okay, listen, I keep saying we could have done a co-captain, but you're like, no, let's not do that. I'm just saying.
We need one because we're talking Santa, who's the leader. So
all right,
we need one.
So then I'll go with the pilot here. So the reindeer squad leader, okay, or AKA pilot. Okay, so this is the transportation. Yes, I get what you're saying. I said about like Captain America with S.H.I.E.L.D., whatever. It's a nice little backup. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry, my mic was moving. And it's moving again. Anyways, so yes, the transportation, the maneuvering expert who gets from the team from where they need to go safely and in style. From navigating space portals to piloting Santa's sleigh, they handle all things vehicularly. Key traits: cool under pressure, skillful and precise. Why does this matter? Well, the pilot ensures the team survives dangerous travel and beats the clock to save Christmas in time, which this is important. So now here's who we have. Now.
So with this one, I do want to preface, like, I tried to pick not like human pilots because I thought that was really lame. Like, all the rest of our people are really just humans. So I really tried to pick like, geek culture characters that, either flew. Well, I mean, all of them fly, obviously, but like ones that were kind of like flying animals or creatures. that were in geek culture. So these are all kind of characters that fly.
Now, I'm going to mention this first one real quick. I feel like if you weren't born within a certain time frame, you're not going to understand who this guy or this person is. So Falcor, okay, Never Ending Story. If you haven't seen Never Ending Story, it's technically an 80s movie. It's a great movie. I've seen it. Yes, I've seen it.
It's so great.
It's a great movie. Yes, I've seen it. And no, yes, and everyone's like, oh, you must have been, really young. I'm like, yeah, well, of course, clearly I was really young when I saw it. But no, did I see it in theaters? No, but I did watch it, growing up. And but not the point. So
everybody, I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, you've probably heard the theme song.
Yes.
I think everybody's heard the theme song, especially if you've seen Stranger Things, because they've sung it in the show.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say so this is just a little fun fact. My dog Popcorn back in the day. Yes, his actual name was Popcorn. I swear, you could have taken a photo of him and like Al Falcor, and they look almost pretty damn identical. And it's pretty sad because they do. It was kind of weird, but so you got Falcor, you got Appa from The Last Airbender. So again, you have to watch that to understand who he is. You have Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. You have Underdog. I'm assuming that's the one you're talking about. Yeah. And then Mighty Mouse.
Never fear, Underdog is here.
Yeah. Wow, we got that in unison. That's crazy. That was crazy. Yeah. And then Mighty Mouse. Now, I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to mention, let's just go with the runner-ups real quick. Underdog, I could see maybe, if there was maybe a few of them, sure. But just him alone, I don't know. I think it's just
these are runner-ups only because I really couldn't find flying animals that were really interesting or cool enough to.
I mean, you'd have to be pulling them
include in this category.
You'd have to be pulling them again. It's just
Mighty Mouse, believe it or not, is not a small mouse.
Really? Because I know
in the cartoon, it's really a tall mouse.
Really?
Yeah, it's not a small mouse.
I thought he was
looking at some of the pictures. It's not a small mouse, but it's also like a Superman-esque, it's a super mouse. So it has the mouse has super ability. So it's really if you took Underdog and just made it a mouse, that's pretty much what it is.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Underdog and Mighty Mouse, they're both strong individuals, but I would say in the sense of what we're trying to accomplish.
No.
I don't think they would be the best choice now. So at least we can both agree on that. Now, right. I'm going to start with Appa.
Actually, I want to go Toothless because
okay, fine.
There is an issue with Toothless that I think disqualifies him from also being in the running.
I already know what which is going to be his.
If you haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon, this one, I think, if you know.
Oh, well, you definitely know.
Toothless, I think in one of the later, I think there's more than one.
Well, I've seen them all. I've recently just watched it.
But the original movie, Toothless basically injures his tail. The actual dragon has an injured tail fin.
Well, and due to the fact that I'm trying to remember his name. His owner, or I guess his partner, basically shoots him down, and he loses his tail fin from that.
Yeah.
But yes.
But so Toothless cannot actually fly without a rider due to the injury to the tail fin. So it gives him a significant downgrade because in the movie they give him this new tail fin.
He basically makes it out of wood and a few like leather and a few other things.
But you need to actually operate the tail fin with your foot,
right?
Which operate how to make your turns and everything else.
So I think his name was Finn, was the guy who was doing it. But I think that the issue was that I think it was the second one. Finn loses his foot, and they literally has a hook for a foot. So he made it specifically for Toothless as well as him to make it easier for both of them.
Is there a third one?
There is, yes, I believe.
And I think it wasn't. I think the third one they actually give him a permanent one that has
he did make
that has the fin, and he's actually I think able to fly on his own.
Yes, and I mean, granted, it takes him some time to learn on it, and of course, I think at the very end of the third one they show both Toothless and Finn with their families because they made it and do whatever.
But still, if we're taking Toothless with the injured tail fin, and it gives him a significant downgrade. But him not being able to fly on his own it's obviously like a pretty significant downgrade if he's not able to fly on his own. Like, he's obviously not going to be a pilot.
No, I would say if you're going to choose anybody, this is where it's going to be a toss-up because I do love Falkor. I think he's a beautiful looking, what looks like a dog, dragon, a few other things. But
Falkor is interesting.
He is interesting. And I mean, Appa is also just as interesting because there's also a live version of Appa that you do get to see with the new TV show, which is, he's freaking amazing. So here's the difference between, I'm going to start with Appa first, then we'll go into Falkor. But so Appa, just to kind of give you a visual if you don't know, he's a very large, it kind of looks like a yak buffalo and like maybe like a beaver like tail or a platypus or whatever. It's kind of weird. You'd have to see him, but like he honestly, I feel like he'd be very lovable. He's a very lovable kind of being and whatnot. And in this case, right? So yes, he's an exceptional pilot. He uses his incredible flying abilities. He's a large size. He navigates complex terrains and potentially carries. Again, he does carry a lot of heavy things on his back and everything else. So he's a really skilled transporter pilot with a unique aerial perspective due to his large gliding wings. And he's also a large base, and he would not, yes. So because he's a large base, yes, I would say his downfall, yes, he couldn't make really quick maneuvers per se. But there are definitely times, even though you say that, there are times that he does make those kind of like very intricate turns that, you'd think that he probably wouldn't make. So it would depend on, again, I mean, we're not talking like, hey, we're going to go through, let's say, the Grand Canyon and make some turns like that really quickly and shit like that. But like, if you're talking about getting away, shit, he'll make sure you go. I mean, he'll get up and go for sure.
Oh yeah.
But and then yes, we'll let's go into Falkor because I know you're gonna love.
Yeah, so Falkor, even though yes, he is a character in Neverending Story, which Falkor is actually a mythical, real life, not a real life thing, but he is a mythical Chinese dragon that exists in like Chinese myth. Not just for the movie, but he is actually like a real Chinese mythical dragon that is called a luck dragon. And this luck dragon is the head and fur of a dog. So basically it's a dragon, but it just has the head and fur of a dog. But they're said to have incredible luck in everything they do.
So this is where he might have a slight advantage with the whole luck thing because
I think this gives him a huge.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, like he's got the advantage because of that, because of having the luck.
Not to mention, he has the head and fur of a dog.
Oh no, he'd be very soft. I mean, granted, he might drool on you a little bit, but
But you also look too like he has the speed. He would definitely have like the agility because he can fly like a dragon.
True.
But you also look, and this is like the actual director of the movie, the director of the movie and the writer of the book, because I believe this was a book before it was a movie.
It could have been, yeah.
They differed on the ending. Now, if you've seen the movie, you've seen the movie. I haven't read the book, but they differed on the ending because at the end of the movie, Falkor, and I don't remember the kid's name. Bastian? Bastian.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Falkor and Bastian, basically, Falkor had crossed the dimension of Fantasia into Earth to basically, kind of do a flyby to show, Bastian's bullies, kind of get even, I guess, if you want to, kind of do that. But it showed Falkor crossing that dimension of Fantasia to Earth. So it was, the author had said like no creatures from Fantasia could travel outside of Fantasia. Even though in the movie, that's what exactly happened. So if you're taking just the movie itself and you're saying Falkor could cross that dimension.
Well, then, yeah, clearly I would choose him all day long because one, you got the luck. Two, if he's known to travel between dimensions, shit, you want to talk about your travel time is going to be very shortened really quickly in a lot of different places. So, I mean, he could teleport literally anywhere around the world, so it wouldn't matter. So, yes, I would say if you're excluding the fact that, including the fact that he can cross-dimensionally travel, absolutely, I would go with Falcor, especially with the luck. And no offense to Appa, but or Appa, sorry.
I think Appa is a good choice only because of how much larger he would be.
True,
and
but I mean,
if you need that, yes, we're not choosing Optimus Prime, so that would be obviously Optimus would not be able probably to ride Falcor,
right,
or Appa.
And that's my point.
That would be
kind of a downfall for Optimus Prime,
But obviously with Optimus Prime, you would have him as the Mack truck, and you would have the storage, so you wouldn't need Appa.
True, but I mean,
but with Falcor, you wouldn't be able to store a lot of shit. So you know what I mean. So that's kind of the downside of that. But I don't know how you could get away with not having a luck dragon,
especially on your side.
And
I think even if he could cross-dimensionally travel, if let's say you forgot something, you don't think that he can't just be like, all right, let's go back real quick. Oh, okay, we're good now.
Especially with all this, you go back and watch the movie, and the Falcor is the most lovable. He's just the way he's laughing and he just gives advice. He's just the funny. Best. He's the best character in the whole movie.
That's the only reason why you watch the movie is because of him.
He's just amazing. Appa is just Appa. He doesn't really he probably just makes a he doesn't really do anything.
No, he doesn't do anything. I mean, he's just more. I mean, he's definitely in the original show, not so much the live action. He had some characteristics and certain things that you would see in the show, and he would make some funny moments and stuff like that. But Falcor is literally talking to you.
Oh yeah, human being. He talks. He actually speaks English, and he's talking and laughing, and
so you could literally talk to.
He actually gives advice and. Kind of Gandalf level,
advice, the riddles and stuff. I mean, you'd probably more ignore them at that point, depending on what it is that he's giving it to you. But I think we both can agree.
Yeah,
I think Falcor would be the choice. Falcor. So now moving on to the toy maker.
So the toy maker, which is different from the
head elf, basically.
The head elf, yes, because. This one, even though it's a brains, genius position, it's, the toy maker is more of a creative genius where we're talking about an inventor who thinks outside the box. They're using unconventional ideas, gadgets, artistic flair to turn the tide in the team's favor. They're imaginative, bold, and inventive. Why does it matter? This person, when brute force fails and logic fail, their creativity provides fresh solutions, ensuring the team has an edge. So they're this person would be working with the person who is the brain. So they'd be working with Tony Stark, and they would be the inventor. Not saying that they're not the brains too, but this person wouldn't be necessarily coming up oh, we have this problem. They would be the person Tony Stark would be going to work on. This is what we need. Can you build it? And they would be yeah, let's go.
Well, so it's almost being hey, can you build it? And be here's some of the plans that I have. That's what I think Tony would do. And here you go run with it. Now,
this is also a good fucking list. I'm just saying,
it's a good list. But I will say,
there are some, there definitely are some catch-22s with this list.
Listen, I already have one in mind, but we're going to see, exactly where we're both, processing this. And so, I'll start with this. So you got Rocket Raccoon. Okay. You got Rick Sanchez, AKA, mad scientist over in, friggin'
Getting shifty.
You got to get swifty.
And
you got Phineas and Ferb, which, yeah, I will admit that one's a pretty good choice, depending on which way you look at it. And then you got Dr. Emmett Brown and Willy Wonka. Now, I'm going to say this. Willy Wonka, I'm not saying he wasn't an innovator, and of course he likes, when he was working with like the children and stuff. I mean, he's definitely had his moments where he was like yelling at them. Now, it depends on which Willy Wonka you're talking about. Are you talking about the original OG? Are you talking Johnny Depp? Or are you talking about the Timothy Chalamet version, like when he's the younger
Don't touch that squirrel's nuts. I don't know, just whatever, just any,
I mean, I'm
if
just
you're
telling
looking
you,
at
there's too
Willy
many.
Wonka as a character.
Well, I mean, there's too many of them. That's the problem. Because one version show, like in the very beginning of, the end of Willy Wonka, the original, he was yelling at the damn kid like, "Good day, sir. Not for you. You do not win. You are a loser." Like, like he's just yelling the entire time. And you're like, okay, well, shit. All right. And I mean, granted, yes, did the kid screw up? Absolutely, because he didn't listen, just like every other kid that was in there. But it was, I think for me, Willy Wonka is just, I think for what they're doing. Sorry. I don't think Willy Wonka's
No, I mean, I think
for this piece.
I think Willy Wonka, I mean, look, they're not making chocolate, like they're not making candy, they're not making anything like that. I mean, you look at Willy Wonka and you look at him being a creative, yes. But you also look at what he's creating. I don't think he would be helpful to the team.
No, and I think he's kind of more of a distraction. I don't think he's really the one that you would want to have, with this particular mission, right? And I'm even say it too, like Doc Brown, he kind of just too much reminds me of a little bit of Rick Sanchez in the less drunk sense, but like he's fucking scatterbrained, man. He's got squirrel written all over him. Like, I mean, granted, yes, he's got a lot going on. He's like trying to save Marty's life half the time, do his own thing. I mean, it's great. He's very innovative in the sense of like, okay, yes, 88 miles per hour. You have to remember that, Marty. And he's like trying to help him save his, his timeline and everything. But it's like,
but you have to think too, like, even in Back to the Future, the inventions that he was making were not good.
No, they really weren't. And I think
outside of the time machine,
right,
they weren't good. And the only ones that he really did well, he had to go into the future to really perfect.
Right. And I'm really starting to hate this mic, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, going to, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there, John. I'm going to go right for it. Rick Sanchez. I'm going to go right in the middle. Rick Sanchez. Because listen, you go to Rick and Morty. Now, if you haven't seen Rick and Morty, I'm sorry. It's not the most PC, show that you could watch, but it's probably one of the most hilarious cartoons that you could probably watch.
Oh, absolutely.
But you look at the character of Rick Sanchez. The dude's a genius. And I would say, I would go on the level of saying he's probably on the level of genius that's probably beyond Tony Reed Richards. Like, he's probably beyond like the genius of all of them.
Well, it's because he knows also about different like planets, dimensions. Like, he goes well beyond their knowledge.
So he's, he's a mad scientist. Like I said, he's possibly like the smartest person. I mean, he's the smartest person on the list, but he's probably the smartest person on any list. However, he's also very selfish. He's mostly drunk all the time. And most of the things that he creates usually don't work out the best for everybody.
I'm Mr. Macy's. Never mind. That's
but with that said, he also creates a lot of inventions that are 100% useful and could potentially probably create anything. I mean, you look at the portal gun alone.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I do.
There's a lot of things that he has created on the show that, and I'm not going to go into like, oh, there's this one, there's that one, there's this one, because there's like so many things that obviously like the idiot characters that are on the show have completely ruined. like the Meeseeks.
That's why I'm Mr. Meeseeks.
He uses the Meeseeks to train him how to play golf when he sucks already. And then he uses another one to train, and there's like a million of them and they all don't know how to do it. And they all like revolt and they basically create their own fucking planet. It's like, but he creates these things that are like already perfect. Like the Meeseeks are already perfect.
Oh yeah.
And you give them a simple test like, hey, can you go grocery shopping? Yeah. And they go out and go grocery shopping and they come back and they disappear. Like you give them an easy task and they do it and they go and they disappear. Like he makes these things and they're like physically impossible to do. But he basically would just go to a different, multiverse universe.
Right.
And get these like things that don't exist anywhere else.
I mean, and so like this is where I could say yes, I could see where you're going with, but I also want to say this is where it's tough because again, we're talking about saving Santa and his crew, like and really going into
it is tough because is he going to be drunk?
Right, and is he going to crash? Is he going to is he he may not crash, no, but like if
what version of Rick are we going to get?
Right, and so this is where I'm gonna switch this up a little bit. Phineas and Ferb, okay, yes, they're kids, okay, but when you look at the show, right? So a lot of what they do, right? They have these big crazy ideas, right? So, but basically. Phineas is, he's particularly portrayed as the more intelligent and thoughtful one, while Ferb is the creative genius, often coming up with these outlandish ideas for their daily adventures, essentially. But then Phineas plans and strategizes while Ferb brings the inventive designs and constructions to life. Their plans are usually more about how they plan on spending the day together with having fun, but not so much saving the day or rescuing someone. Now, but here's the thing about them two, is now you're talking about a duo. Right, so now you basically have three minds. These guys, I would say, at a very young age, are very smart, and very, maybe not like Rick Sanchez smart, but I will say about them is that I think if they were given the opportunity, especially to work with Tony Stark and their resources, and having these kind of creative ideas and like kind of working together, having fun with it, like they would be kind of more the fun, creative side to what Tony was always looking for in a sense, where I think Rick would also kind of undermine more really Tony saying, oh, well, you're fucking stupid. You're dumb. You're this and that. You're not even at my level. And I don't think he would listen to him or at least try to cooperate or, collaborate a little bit. And that's where I think, having at least kids, you can mentor them, but at the same time, when you look at these inventions, these ideas and whatnot, I think if you gave them the right resources, the tools, the innovative designs, I think these two would be amazing. And especially, in a situation like this, having, both of them work together with Tony and to be able to figure out to save the day, I think it would work really well. But that's just me. And I also know we have another character that we have to introduce as well.
Yes,
but
I mean the one issue that I do have is one. I mean, one, they're kids.
Yes, they're kids.
And I would often think like, would Captain America, because he's our leader, would Captain America sign off on them joining the team, knowing that they're kids and they're going to be in danger?
Okay, well then you look at Peter.
That's what I would first guess, but like, would they sign off on doing this to begin with, knowing that they're only doing this because it's the summer and they're trying to spend the day trying to have fun?
Well,
and this is like a mission, not necessarily like, spending the day trying to have fun.
No, I understand that, but I think a lot of times when you look at them and they're portrayed, I mean, I don't even know if you knew this, but they did actually do. They did a lot of crossover episodes, but one of them was actually with the Avengers. Believe it or not, they actually did work with. I want to say I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was like the Hulk, Thor, Cap, all of them. Like they did technically work with Phineas and Ferb in the show, but I think they were trying to save the day and they did all that too. So I would say that. I mean, granted, again, this is a TV show; it's not real life, it's not whatever. I think they could work well, and I think I think Cap might realize that yes, they might be young, because like the funny catchphrase of usually the show is like, you see, or what was it? you seem a little young to be, working as a construction worker. Yes, I know that. And, and they would say that to each other, and then they'd kind of like move on from that. But like the whole point of it was is like, yeah, you seem a little young to be working as a blah, 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 whatever that was that day. And I just think it'd be a fun twist, where, Rick he's great. And I think, to a degree, he's great. And I mean, and this is where I feel like he would just kind of undermine people. I don't think he'd work well as a team because I think he would want to figure out something else or do something else entirely different from what the actual mission was. And I think he's the liability in the sense of like, he thinks he would know everything and he would do it better. But then like,
yeah, I mean, would he, yes, would he think, trying to save Santa, would he be, would that be lower?
Right, of a scale.
Scale than,
what he normally does, where I think Phineas and Ferb, and again, this is just being kids here. I understand that the liability of them being kids, sure, I get all that. But I think them alone, if, again, I mean, they're going to be watched, clearly. It's not like they're not going to be having supervision, but yes. Anyways, I know we got to talk about Rocket Raccoon. I know we've been kind of like
I mean, with Rocket, I think we are past the 1 hour mark, so we do have to kind of move on pretty quickly here. But I think Rocket does more with weapons, and I think he's more of kind of a wild card because you really don't know what you're going to get with Rocket. Is he inventive? Is he can he create a lot of stuff? Yes, he's an engineer, he's a mechanic, he's also a pilot. He can make more things that don't shoot, but more often than not, he does make things that usually shoot or explode. And is he going to often have to make things that don't shoot or explode? Yes, probably. And
yeah, I mean, the only thing about him is, yes, I mean, did he steal it? Did he, did he actually make it? Did he whatever? I mean, like, I think he's just too self-centered in some ways because I think
he can be a loose cannon, and that's
where I think that would be the liability piece of like him in that sense, where I think it's hard to say that. Yes, I mean he's great. He can make stuff. I don't think he's at that same level as really that Phineas and Ferb or Rick Sanchez in a sense. I think he's like, it's good if like you need like a quick like, oh shit, my I don't know, the flux capacitor broke. Oh, okay, sounds good. Let me go fix that real quick for you. Like, like simple shit. It'd be like in a car, like, oh, hey, my engine broke. Oh, yeah, don't worry. I got that for you. Hold on, let me fix that for you.
Yeah.
Nothing like on another level scale of like what they're trying to do in that sense. I just think Rocket Raccoon, in my opinion, is just not quite the person I'd be choosing. He'd be like the backup to maybe the further backup, and if I didn't have any other choice.
So I think we agree on Phineas and Ferb for that one.
Wow. I thought you were going Rick.
I was thinking Rick initially only because of the things that the possibilities with what he can do,
right,
I think would outweigh the risks. But, I think you also, I mean, do I think that somebody like Captain America could reel him in? Yes, I do. Especially,
Rick?
Especially with the next person that we're going to be talking about. You have somebody that we're going to be talking about next, and you have Captain America. Like, I think between the two of them, like, they could probably reel him in. But you have somebody that could create something that's, his creation potential is unlimited.
If we're talking about Phineas, right, and all of them, or are we talking about more Rick right now?
That's Rick.
Okay.
I mean, but you're talking Phineas and Ferb where, you also have somebody who's creative and you have somebody who can create a lot of different things.
Well, and you also have young minds, right? So you're talking about innovative in a sense of like the imagination piece, right? So like it's almost like the untapped potential to basically mold them at that age, is exponential, especially with Tony. I mean, they could, they start out now, but imagine so many years later. I mean, that's just me. I'm looking at it more like, yes, if we're talking about the here and now, yes, I think for the most part, they're both mature. It's not like in the show, they're definitely not immature for their age, but
no, and we're taking the ideas that they're creating like in the show. Like obviously we know it's like their fucking imagination and they're not actually doing those things in real life.
Right. I think
but in the show,
They're making all kinds of shit.
They're making all kinds of shit, and that's what we're assuming they can do in real life, and that's what they're bringing to the team.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're assuming.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to move on to the naughty list enforcer, which is the muscle. So obviously, they are the physical powerhouse who tackles obstacles through strength and determination. Whether they're breaking down doors, battling enemies, or shielding the team, they are the team's tank. Strong, fearless, and loyal. Why does it matter? Well, when diplomacy and gadgets fail, the muscle ensures the team can brute force their way forward if needed. So the characters in this category are the Punisher, Raphael from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Judge Dredd, Batman, and the Mandalorian. So I'm just going to start with the Punisher because I love the Punisher.
Oh, I knew you were going to go for him.
I love the
I
Punisher.
knew you were going to go for him, but
I love me some Punisher. You know, while he's not like physically, you know, strong, like, you know, maybe Raphael and Judge Dredd or, you know, Batman maybe. He is fucking fearless and never gives up. No matter how bad the odds are or how hurt or beat to shit he is. Like, he just never gives up at all. Even though he is considered an anti-hero, he fights for justice when criminals go unpunished for their crimes. The one thing about the Punisher, and this is just his character, he's fucking brutal, dude.
Yeah, well, hold on. When you say brutal, I mean extreme, like to another degree brutal, because, you know, if you thought Batman was bad, I mean, this guy, I wouldn't say probably takes the cake, but he can make it so that way.
No, he's brutal, like stomping heads like watermelons and he's
more
brutal.
gorier than that, yeah.
You know, the chances of him like going to the extreme and going a bit rogue is pretty high. Like, not listening to like the, you know, Steve Rogers or Captain America, obviously that potential is there, and going, you know, obviously being the enforcer and being the muscle and taking that to the like ultimate extreme for the Punisher is there.
Oh, yeah.
Would he do a good job? Yes, he probably would.
Oh, he would beat the shit out of people, absolutely. But I don't think that the reason why I'm going to say he's a liability is because of him potentially becoming rogue, you know, going a little too far and beyond when he doesn't need to go that far.
He's personally not my choice, but
I figured.
I like the character, but he's not my choice.
He's definitely up there to, yeah. Like, again, he'd be your backup to your backup. Like, he'd
be my third choice.
Yeah, he would be like the one that I'm like, all right, well, you know what, fuck it, I don't really have any other choice.
If my first two, like, you know, if failed. My first two like tore an MCL and was like, oh, dude, I'm out.
You're like, well, then I guess.
All right, well, I guess I gotta choose Punisher over there.
Now, you know what? I'm gonna guess your choice. Okay, now I might be totally off. Okay, I'm going to say that you picked Judge Dredd.
Oh, I'm going Judge Dredd all the way.
Ah, son of a bitch! I had a strange feeling you were going him, but this is where we're gonna have to figure out some shit, because I'm not telling you who mine is. I wanted to know yours because I knew you were gonna say something close to that. So
you're probably going Raphael.
Actually, no, I'm not.
Are you going Judge Dredd too?
Well, I guess we're gonna have to find out once we start talking. So, anyways,
well, you better decide, because we are already at an hour and 18.
I understand.
Here, so.
Okay, all right. So now we're gonna go into Raph. So yes, Raph, right, being the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, he can be angry. He's dismissive at times, and usually a lone wolf, right? That's a big one. Despite the negative traits that he is a team player, but often feels that he holds himself back from being, from really actually doing good. Would probably get along with the Punisher and Judge Dredd. He would definitely be the first one to be breaking down doors and knocking heads together. Yes, I agree that he can definitely do that. I think for him, though, just like Punisher, he gets...
He can definitely be rogue.
He can definitely be rogue, and he's very hot tempered. Like, it gets really quick.
It's the lone wolf thing that gets me with him.
Well, it's not only that. I would say it's just he's too hot. Like, every time, like he's always like, kick ass and take names later. It's a kind of a deal. And it's like, no, man. Like, we need to like actually figure some shit out before you just start beating the crap out of people. Right. And he wouldn't get that piece. And then, we'll mention this real quick. So Mandalorian,
We can kind of skip over I mean, Mandalorian's great, but I mean, as an
Not
enforcer,
really.
I wouldn't really want him. And Batman, as good as he is, like, what is he going to be out during the day?
Really? I was going to put up a fight for Batman. And the reason why I'm going to say this, that was actually my original choice and the reason why I say this is because, yes, we're talking about Tony Stark and this and that. But if you look at Batman, and especially being an enforcer, yes, he's not using guns. He's not, he can literally get you out of any situation for the most part. Literally could get you out of any situation. The thing about him is that when you look at him trying to, play as a team, like, yes, does he, granted, he doesn't want to be a part of a team, but he will do it if the mission is required. He has proven that, and he trains to the mission that he does. But with him, think about it. The man himself, right? He's literally trained with fucking, I can't even tell you how many martial arts that he knows. He knows so much of that. He knows basically how to, when it comes to like either knocking people out or like, getting rid of weapons and shit like that. He knows how to do that.
I just don't think he's the best option. That's all.
Go ahead, fine. Try to enlighten me with this Judge Dredd thing.
Judge Dredd, if you don't know Judge Dredd, again, you're probably living under a rock. There are a couple of movies. It's also a pretty damn good comic too. But he's a street judge. It's based on kind of a futuristic kind of Mad Max kind of setting.
Right, yes, originally a human, but then turns into a robot since they,
Well, he's human.
I thought there was some things about him, like they made him part robot for that.
He's a human.
Okay.
But he's a street judge. He's known for dishing out punishments. They were police, judges, and executioners. So they basically, when they went to a crime scene, they basically were the police. They issued the sentencing, and if they sentenced them to death, they did the executions right there. That's basically what they did. So he's one that like follows the law. He is, doesn't really like, I would say much like the Punisher, like he's not one that's like, doesn't really fight for like justice. Like he's not one that's like looking at the person as a person. He's one that's like, you either follow the law or you broke the law. And he, depending on the crime, will execute the criminal as needed. And Judge Dredd is just a badass. He's not a good guy, but he's not a bad guy either.
All right.
He doesn't fight for justice, but he does uphold the law. And that's what I think as somebody who's a naughty list enforcer, like he is somebody who's going to uphold what's true and what's the law. And that's, I think, what is his main selling point.
Fine. You know what? Because for the sake of time, and you did it for the first time, I'll give you Judge Dredd. Okay? So we're going to go with Judge Dredd. Just because for the sake of time, guys. Okay? But then this last one,
I think the next category is fair. I think it's fairly easy.
I already know which one, and I can just say it, but I'm not going to. But I will say that the Xmas Spirit Booster or the heart of the team, right? So this one's going to be, I would think, pretty easy in knowing this list right here. But basically, the emotional glue that holds everything or everyone together, reminding the group of the mission's greater purpose. They inspire others, lift spirits, and foster camaraderie during tough moments. So key traits: empathetic, kind, and uplifting. Why does this matter? The heart ensures the team doesn't lose sight of what they're fighting for and keeps morale high even in the darkest moments. So here's some people that we're going to mention. Now, some of these people, I'm like, okay, yep, I can see. And then some of them, I'm like, we'll see. It really depends on, again, the scenario. So we got Buddy the Elf, Peter, as in, are we talking about Peter Parker? Or wait a minute. Peter the, all right, he's that human, yeah.
Peter Pool.
Yeah, Peter Pool. Yeah, okay, never mind. I know who this Peter is, never mind. Michelangelo, "So, dude," and then you got Olaf, and then you have Samwise Gamgee. So I'm going to start off with this. Samwise,
As great as he is, yeah, I don't know.
no, I wouldn't choose him. Sorry. Next, Olaf, no, because you'd have to be in a cold area, and we're not guaranteed to be in cold places the entire time. That's his downfall. He's literally a snowman. Sorry.
I mean, honestly, I think that there's one fucking answer for this.
You know what? Go ahead. How about we say it in 3, and we'll go. I'll count down, and I'm just going to say mine. You're going to say yours. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Buddy the Elf.
I knew it. I knew it because I was like, oh, please.
And even though he's not an elf, I think he embodies the Christmas spirit. I mean, in the movie, he's always trying to uplift others. He's
it's perfect for this mission.
Others' spirit, especially when it came to, in the movie, saving Santa, saving Christmas. He's, even though he's seen as an idiot and annoying, he continues to just be, that uplifting person.
He's just the perfect individual for this job. I mean, for the mission alone.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't add anything to the team, but what he does offer is insider knowledge of Santa and North Pole operations.
Right, which would help them, especially if they're trying to figure out certain things.
So, yeah, I think we both agree on Buddy the Elf.
Yeah, I mean, Michelangelo, no offense. I mean, I love my, dude, that guy.
He'd be great, but, I mean.
He's just, there's just too much comedic factor, and I don't think he would take a lot of this seriously.
All right, so we have Captain America as our leader, Tony Stark, Falcor.
Mm-hmm.
We have Phineas and Ferb.
Mm-hmm.
We have Judge Dredd and Buddy the Elf. That is our team.
That is a very interesting team. Now, if you don't like the team, I mean, listen. I mean, we're trying to negotiate here, and I can tell you, he's had to do with one, and I had to do with another one. But I mean, if you guys want to comment, and say, hey, this was great, or no, that was not great because of this or whatever, just to let us know, man. I mean, we're not perfect. I mean, we're just basing it off of what we know for knowledge and what we think would work versus not work. And, maybe
I think it's a kick-ass team. I mean,
I do as well. I'm just saying in general, if you guys don't agree or like it or whatever, let us know, because again, what you might have to offer is different from what we have to offer. We're just basing it off of our knowledge and, kind of what we're dealing with. I mean, because granted, because Matt thinks he's always right. He's Mr. King Geek of the Week, verse, to the extreme infinity and beyond. I don't know. Anyways.
No, I mean, I love the team, and I think that they have definitely a great, chance of, I mean, we have Captain America.
I mean, yes.
I mean, we have Judge Dredd. I mean, he, as an enforcer, he's probably the ultimate enforcer, between Captain America and then somebody who's literally, he is a badass, but he is one that's upholding the law.
Right.
Even though you can look at him as a bad guy, he is not looking at somebody who, maybe looking at the individual and what they were doing. Maybe they were, they killed somebody in a shop because they might have killed his mother, last week, and the guy was, just trying to get even or whatever. He's not looking at that. He's looking at what the person did that broke the law, and that's what he's doing. So, you look at him and you could be like, well, he's a bad guy. Okay.
I mean, it depends on what you're looking at here in this situation, because, you look at, Cap, look at Tony, the reason why I'm looking at those two is when it comes to executing people and stuff. No, I know that, technically Cap had to do it because again, he was in literally World War II. I mean, that was just the way it was. Tony, no, I mean, I know he would try to avoid trying to kill somebody, but yeah, if you had to kind of say, hey, this is what it was. Sure. I understand Judge Dredd would be clearly the choice that you'd want to have, because there is no deciding, piece to this. It's more boom, boom, boom. That's it. And then,
but I think if you gave Judge Dredd that mission, hey, this is our mission. This is what we're doing. I think he could follow along with that. Obviously, if he's following the law, then, obviously he is that judge that has to follow the law, and he's going to follow that. But
well, the only person that I feel would be emotionally damaged after this whole mission would be Buddy the Elf. I think he would be the one, and maybe Phineas and Ferb. Like those two, or those three, I would say, are really going to be the ones that are, if they saw what they did.
I just feel like Buddy the Elf. I don't think he would really care. Like he's kind of an idiot anyway. So
I mean, I understand, but I feel like he would, in certain ways.
I feel like he would just be more interested in like singing and being happy and trying to save Christmas and Santa. Like
oh my God, you're not Santa.
Just trying to do that. But that is our team and that is our episode. So, you can leave us comments like on Spotify. You can leave comments on YouTube. If you have different people for each position, let us know in the comments. Like we'll be glad to hear them. But
yeah. Until next time, boys and girls,
Stay geeky.